Um, Council, understanding that the regulations we had passed were a little bit stricter than the province originally intended, we thought we had to create sort of a zone for that, and so we passed criteria for where to locate them. This at at the very tail end of July, and my hope was that we would basically go to every community and say, hey, who's interested in or where would you like your bench, basically. And what instead we got was we ran the numbers, the criteria, and in the middle of August spat out 4 places in my entire ward where an area met the criteria. And on top of that, I found out I was the only member of council that asked for that to happen. And so we did a deep dive. 1,800 Calgarians responded to those 4 locations in Inglewood, Bridgeland, and Ogden. And I would say, from my run of the numbers, about a quarter were supportive, and a solid 3/4 or more were opposed. And I would say that the opposition really fell into 3 different categories. Number one, you had people who were just against the legalization of cannabis and were trying to sort of relitigate that issue. That, of course, was not before us. Number two, you had people who had specific issues with the specific sites that were raised, and a lot of those concerns were very valid and sort of thoughtful and accurate concerns that caused pause. And those combined with the third issue, and the third issue was just the idea that if you just have 1 or 2 or 3 spaces in a city of this size, then you're just begging for issues of overconcentration and sort of point. Again, this really is only going to work if there's a diffuse network of these things and you don't concentrate them. And that certainly wasn't what we were getting. So I think between the valid concerns with the individual sites that were raised and the fact that these sites would be taking on the brunt for the entire city, it really sort of became an untenable situation. And rather than, and it was at that point where that over-concentration argument was really resonating with me, and we went back to the team and we were like, look, this hasn't rolled out the way we wanted it to roll out or the way we expected, and we're hearing a lot of thoughtful opposition to these sites. Do we not have the right not to subject the public and council to an endless public hearing that's going to be overwhelmingly negative? And the response was, yeah, you do. You have the right to pull the plug. So in consultation with the mayor, my colleagues, and with the team, we decided we're gonna put this bag of bricks down right now, and we're gonna have to sort of, if we're gonna look at this issue, we're gonna have to look at it from a different angle.
Is this it until maybe the province changes the rules on the cannabis lounges?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a real message to everyone that really rolling out the legalization of cannabis without the opportunity for cafes or lounges is a deeply problematic situation. And obviously there are issues with lounges because you don't want minimum wage earning employees to be dealing with secondhand smoke, and that's a real issue. But at the same time, not having a legal place to use a legal substance matter just sort of shoves this into a gray zone, which is not really what the legalization of cannabis, as I see it, was supposed to be about.
Are you surprised that your other colleagues didn't present some sites in their wards?
I would say that there are members of council who are not super cool with the legalization of cannabis, and there are members of council who are very cool with the legalization of cannabis and are not cool with how restrictive council was. Councilors like Jody Gondek and Evan Woolley made very good arguments that if we create public consumption zones, we're concentrating an issue that should just be dispersed everywhere. And so it'll be less of an issue if you disperse it. And I think this experience that we've gone through sort of proved them right to a certain extent. So I would say there's a thin band of councillors in the middle who sort of helped determine what happened, and I don't know if that band, I'm a member of that band, and I don't know if my colleagues missed it or didn't want to step on this political third rail or what, but I'm certainly of the opinion that, this is something that we should have a serious conversation about, and we did with Calgarians. We had 1,800 Calgarians, and I don't know, officially respond. My office got hammered by tons of calls. My staff is very happy that we're putting down this bag of bricks, but this is obviously not the way to do it. So, I think we got to have a sense of when lounges are coming forward And if it's an interminable period of time, and if there's a real emerging issue with the fact that there are too many people who don't have a legal opportunity to use a legal product, then I think we're going to have to go back to the idea that, you know, these have to go everywhere. It's not a question of whether you want it in your neighborhood. It's let's sit down and talk about where the best place in every neighborhood in the city for this would be.
So what do you say to the province right now, given that this situation is kind of created by a difference in...
I would sort of re-up my advocacy for the need for a cafe or a lounge to become a legal part of our landscape as soon as possible.
You feel like you're a guinea pig led to slaughter?
Look, I mean, I would say that my ward, my political Great Neighborhoods mission at City Hall is all about piloting things. And sometimes when you pilot things, you land first and you land well, and sometimes you have awkward situations like this, but that's part of the job and that's part of the mission of you know, Great Neighborhoods that we're all engaged in together.